Today, Gaza City continues to be the scene of violent clashes between Israeli security forces and active members of Hamas. These clashes have evolved in intensity as Israeli forces advance deeper into the Gaza Strip. Progress has been seen in the Israeli military's neutralization of a significant number of Hamas combatant members, especially as they penetrate further into the region. Israeli defense forces have achieved notable successes, even against experienced Hamas commandos. Their incursion into Gaza has proven to be a constant challenge for Hamas militants, who are increasingly disheartened by the constant attacks, especially after the latest serious clash that took place recently. Hamas members are now forced to consider strategies to escape this conflict. They have suffered a devastating blow from the Israeli defense in the latest attack, making it one of the biggest single setbacks since the start of the war. In the last few hours, Israeli forces carried out operations in the northern sector of Gaza City, where the elite Hamas commando unit was located. Several of Hamas's commandos were defeated during clashes between its elite units and Israel's defense forces. These raids were also directed against the perpetrators of the attack that occurred on October 7th in Israeli territory. According to the Israeli Defense Forces, ground operations managed to neutralize several Hamas operatives, including members of its elite NBA group, responsible for the October 7 massacre. Prior to these raids, the Shin Bet security agency provided crucial information about the whereabouts of Hamas commandos. Based on this intelligence, Israeli troops carried out successful raids. According to the report of the Israeli Defense Forces, during these raids, Ahmed Musa, commander of the NBA company, and Amr Alhi, commander of the NBA platoon, who were hiding in Jabali, were killed. According to Israeli sources, Ahmed Musa was one of the Hamas leaders who orchestrated the attack on the nearby Sikim kibbutz base and another military outpost in the area during the first attack on Israel, when Israeli Defense Forces carried out a ground operation from the north towards the Gaza Strip. NCBA units, under the command of Ahmed Musa, attempted to stop the advance of Israeli forces in the western Jabali area. Despite counterattacks carried out by NCBA units, they failed to stop the progress of the Israeli forces. During one of the raids carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces, Mohammed Klut, recognized for leading the sniper unit of Hamas militants in the northern Gaza Brigade, was neutralized. In another simultaneous raid, troops from Israel's 252nd Division managed to neutralize 19 Hamas operatives who were planning an attack against the Israeli army. The elimination of the soldiers from the elite NCBA unit represented an unforeseen blow to Israel's defense, given that this unit had been trained within the Hamas structure to carry out actions that could inflict significant damage on Israeli soldiers. The NCBA forces are naval commandos of the Special Forces Unit of Hamas Izz ad-Din al-Qassam brigades. During the start of the 2023 war between Israel and Hamas, this unit allegedly led Hamas's attack on Israel in October of the same year. NCBA's elite forces specialize in ambushes, raids, tunnel infiltration attacks, and counterterrorism operations. The NCBA company is made up of militants selected by senior Hamas officials. This division usually carries out its attacks with missiles, rockets, and sniper fire. With the start of ground operations by the Israeli Defense Forces, an increased risk to Israeli soldiers was anticipated, especially in terms of ambushes and attacks through tunnels. In addition, following the bombing by the Israeli Air Force, the conditions for carrying out ambushes have become more favorable for the militants. If the NCBA company had not been neutralized, it would have posed a major problem for the Israeli Defense Forces. Before the conflict, the main mission of the NCBA division was to carry out attacks on Israel from water, both under and over it, using explosives and missiles resistant to the Iron Dome air defense system. This division targeted Israel's military and civilian maritime infrastructure, including ships and power plants. During the raids carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces in the northern Gaza Strip, multiple incidents occurred. In one reported by Israel's Defense Forces, the army managed to neutralize a large number of Hamas militants. According to the report, troops from the 7th Armored Brigade raided a Hamas outpost and training camp in the northern Gaza Strip, seizing dozens of weapons and neutralizing around 30 militants. Israeli soldiers recovered assault rifles, missiles, mortars, unmanned aerial vehicles, maps, communications equipment, and other technological devices in the area, according to statements from the Israeli Defense Forces headquarters. This operation represented a significant blow to Hamas's offensive capabilities, which needed this military equipment to attack Israeli troops in northern Gaza. The capture of Hamas's outpost and main training center in the region is a significant achievement for Israeli forces. Additionally, during these raids, Israeli soldiers raided the offices of Mohammed Sinwar, brother of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, where it is presumed that serious information about the organization and its attack plans was found. According to additional reports, soldiers also seized weapons and other important equipment. In another joint operation carried out by the 7th Brigade and the Yahalom Unit, the Elite Combat Engineering Unit, an outpost belonging to the Sabra Neighborhood Battalion of the Hamas terrorist group was assaulted. Israeli forces claim to have seized anti-aircraft missile operation and calibration systems, several unmanned aerial vehicles, a rocket launcher, and technological equipment from the outpost. Additionally, Hamas intelligence documents were found by Israeli soldiers, which has led to various elite military units of the Israeli army operating effectively in the Gaza Strip. This situation could have a direct impact on the course of the war. Recent clashes have highlighted the glaring disparity between the elite soldiers of the Israeli army and the highly trained militant groups of Hamas. The superiority of the Israeli army against Hamas militants was notable in each confrontation. It was elite Israeli soldiers who managed to clear Hamas outposts and neutralize the highly trained militants. This confrontation between elite troops made clear the enormous difference in power between both sides. In the coming days of this conflict, it is seen that the Israeli army will continue to obtain new victories over Hamas militants without slowing down or facing major difficulties. Initially, the Israeli public showed some concern about the time it took for Israel's defense forces to prepare for the ground operation. However, it is now evident that these forces are making rapid progress in ground operations with minimal casualties. Had the Israeli military rushed its ground incursion into Gaza, it would have resulted in higher casualties without making significant progress. This situation would have caused a more adverse reaction from Israeli society towards the government. However, both the government and the Israeli military are taking logical and successful steps in this challenging process. Stay tuned for updates on the successful operations of Israeli forces in Gaza. Thank you for your attention and follow-up.